Hi, my name is Andrew Martyr, and we'll be talking about stealing test content with hidden cameras today. This is joint work with Chris Foster, and we're both employees of Cavion Test Security. So here's the outline of the talk. So the problem that we're dealing with is that bad actors can steal test content using hidden cameras. To give you a better feel for that problem, we're going to provide an overview of hidden cameras in general, demonstrate two specific hidden cameras, talk about why it's not really feasible for proctors to solve this problem, and give some alternative solutions. So I'll turn it over to Chris for an overview of hidden cameras.
Hello, my name is Chris Foster, and I'm going to briefly talk about the different types of cameras and kind of the background, price points, and other information that you need to know about cameras and the hidden variety. So first, I've kind of categorized cameras into three different areas. They can either be hidden as an object, small and disguisable, or wearable. Now, for examples of hidden as an object, here we have an example. You can find hidden cameras in basically everything, but here are a couple examples. First, you can find them in alarm clocks. You can find them in power adapters, little wall hooks. Advanced hidden cameras can be disguised as paint cans for maybe the garage or a USB port, or even an oscillating fan can have a hidden camera embedded inside of it. And the small and disguisable, these are just normal cameras that happen to be very small. And the advantage of these is they can be disguised or hidden as other things. These are a pretty low price point, and they're usually very small. For example, this one down here is about the size of, half the size of a nickel is how big this entire top headpiece is. So they're just very small. And finally, wearables. Wearables are mostly, well, they're hidden cameras you can wear on your body, and they're mostly used, or should be concerned about, for examinees who are coming into maybe a testing center wearing these. Some examples are just glasses, watches, keys, earphones, lots of different types of pens or tie clips. There's more of a Blade Runner look for glasses, and then there's dozens of different types of watches that have a hidden camera embedded in them. So the variety of all types of hidden cameras is very large, and for that reason it makes them very hard to detect. So let's talk about a little bit of price points of most hidden cameras. First, you have the $30 button cam. This you can just get off Amazon, arrives in 2 days. Very simple. Then for more advanced, there's a $2.99 DVD case. In this case, it is this one right here, this black one. In the middle of the case is a hidden camera. Hidden cameras can be placed inside of a Monster Energy drink. This costs $319, an electrical box, or even a working LCD TV with a DVR player. But that's one of the more expensive hidden cameras we found that's consumer level. Finally, how do these devices receive power? They can either be on battery power or plugged into an outlet. Most wearables are battery powered, and the battery will last for 1 to 2 hours. So this means if you have a very long test, it would be hard for the battery of one of these cameras to make it the entire way. And there's no additional battery pack like you can buy for your phone. However, disguised cameras, these are things like paint cans, bottles, coat hangers. These have a power outlet, but also a backup battery. So even if they're not plugged in, and since they're bigger, the battery can last for longer, usually up to 2 to 3 hours. So this is just something to think about, like the Monster Energy drink can last for several hours not plugged in, as opposed to the small wearable ones that you can see that we talked about a little bit earlier. So these devices all need to store something somewhere. There's basically 3 different ways they do it. The first is Wi-Fi. Many of the wearables broadcast their own Wi-Fi signal, which you can connect to with a phone, and they use the phone itself to store the videos. Lots of them, if they're Wi-Fi capable, they can connect to any Wi-Fi and then just upload everything they record to the cloud, so they don't need to worry about the size or anything else. And then almost every camera has some sort of local storage. This would be things like an SD card that you can just plug in. And just so we're clear on SD card capabilities, a 32 gigabyte mini SD card costs about $9, fits in all of these, and can hold 2 hours and 45 minutes of video in 1080p. So spend a little more and you have 9 hours, and they can basically record entire test sessions without problem. So resolutions. Here we have a pretty complex graphic that goes into different resolutions. We all know 1080p is HD, 4K is the new best thing, and the difference is about between 1080p around here to 4K is about 4 times the resolution and everything else. However, this is a very complicated graphic, and for the purposes of an examinee trying to harvest test questions, it doesn't matter the quality of their camera. Most cameras can pick up a readable graphic from the screen from across the room, and even if the camera is too low of resolution, all they have to do is zoom in on the web page or make the font bigger and they can easily see it. So even the cheapest cameras are going to be able to easily grab content from a screen. Finally, how do we detect these hidden cameras? There's so many of them. What do we look for? It's not easy since they're designed to be hidden. So many small and wearable cameras, this is an important point, like the watches or the glasses or a button of some sort, have a light that indicates what they're doing. Since they don't have an LCD screen or some sort of screen that tells you what they're doing, they use different light blinks to tell you what they're doing. For example, a red blink might be they just stopped recording or they're out of memory. Well, a slow green blinking light might mean that they're recording, or a yellow light might mean they're taking a picture. It kind of indicates what sort of state the camera is in, so there can be some sort of communication between the user and the watch. But besides that, you have to look for objects out of the ordinary. You can look for small holes in walls or other places. You can look for wires where they shouldn't be, or you have to look for light reflections off of lenses that are possibly hidden. And if you have a special device, you can look for RF broadcasts. And you can also use metal detectors to detect most of these. However, most of these are most effective in person and can only really be done if you have the time and energy to look for them in person in, say, your Airbnb. Yeah, so if someone's taking a test at home and you only have an online monitor or online proctor, they'll never be able to detect if a wire is out of place because the person can just hide the wires. And you obviously can't put a metal detector for someone entering their office to take an exam. So most of these are only effective, or they're most effective in person. So here's an example that I like to use to kind of demonstrate how hard it is to spot hidden cameras in a room. So this is an image of me looking at my screen that has some test material on it, and I have some hidden cameras in this screen. And the question is, how many cameras are there? Well, the answer is there are 5. So I'm going to give you maybe 10, 15 seconds to look around this room and see if you can spot the hidden cameras. So a reasonable guess, since we can't really interact like I would like to since this is pre-recorded, here's a reasonable guess of someone who went through this process. They thought maybe this black box up here on the shelf, this pill container, this speaker, maybe there's one hidden on my person. So to be clear, this is simply a canister of dog medicine. It basically is called Cosequin. Helps with dogs with arthritis. It is not a hidden camera. This is a simple boom mic. Not a hidden camera. Neither is this box. This just holds technically an airbrush. There's not one on my person here. However, there is one hidden camera hidden inside this little roll of paper towels. So, to see the hidden cameras, there's the real hidden cameras. There's one hidden back here. It's kind of peeking through this cardboard that is lining the window. There's another hidden camera over here. You can see it's hidden inside this tube. The wires go out the back and plug into a plug back here. A third one, there is a wearable hidden on myself. It's simply a button cam that's peeking through the shirt. Now, I coincidentally wore a black shirt. It makes it nearly impossible to detect a button cam peeking through the shirt when you're wearing a black shirt. If there's a white shirt, you'd be able to see the wires through it and even the tiny black hole that the lens is looking through. Finally, there's two more cameras. Down here, this is simply my cell phone. My cell phone's just sitting on the floor over here, and it's peeking through a hole that I poked in some Amazon styrofoam that came with some shipment I got last week. This is interesting because it's literally things that I just had in my house. And finally, up here, there's a GoPro. A simple GoPro, not hidden at all, it's just sitting on the shelf. It's close to this black box, but it's just next to it. And it's important to note how difficult that is to see at this distance through your standard kind of computer webcam. So there's a couple more things I'd like to briefly talk about. First is an additional security concern, camera angles. There are actually 3 more cameras in this room with very clean shots of the screen, but are off camera due to the web camera field of vision. And then a quick sweep of the room would still be unlikely to see these, because usually room sweeps, I'd imagine, are done to spot other humans in the room or make sure the room is more secure, and not to look for tiny hidden cameras hidden throughout the room. So to show you where these are, up on this platform right here, there is just a very nice camera pointing directly at the screen. Up to the top left, where you can't see, there is just a Nest Cam. This is just the Nest Cam that I have in my house to watch my dogs when I'm gone. And then below the webcam, directly below it, I have taped a Amazon button cam that's just collecting everything on the screen. And with that one, it wouldn't matter if I swept the room, since it's literally taped to the bottom of my current web camera. And it can just see the screen just fine. So there's also something that should be noticed, which is outranging. Your standard webcam doesn't have a very great lens and can film in 1080p. A GoPro, for example, can film in 4K. So all you have to do is put the GoPro far enough away from the screen that it can't easily be recognized, and it can still get a very clean shot. So in this case, I had the GoPro up on the ledge up here, and it was getting a perfect shot of the screen, but couldn't easily be recognized from the webcam. And just so we all get an understanding of what it looks like, here's a GoPro frame taken from the video it was taking. As you can see, it can somewhat make out 10-point font, but everything above 10-point font is very clear for the GoPro, while the GoPro is basically hidden from sight from the webcam. So, total pricing. How much would it take to harvest a series of questions from a test? Well, my webcam is an $80 Logitech webcam that sits on top of my monitor. I have a desktop, not a laptop, so it's even a slightly nicer webcam than most people with a laptop would have. And all 5 hidden cameras cost less than $200 total. In fact, it was less than $100. I'm just buffering a little bit to make it sound a bit better. And in addition, I already had a GoPro, a Nest Cam, and then, well, let me say this. People who just use devices they have, everyone these days has some sort of cell phone or smartphone that they can poke a hole in some styrofoam and get all the questions without being detected. But you can use, people have GoPros, they're pretty common, Nest cameras are pretty common, nanny cams are pretty common. Any of these will get an easy shot of high quality of a screen without a very high chance of detection. So I'm going to turn the time back over to Andrew so we can finish talking about hidden cameras.
Alright, so let's talk about some specific hidden cameras and jump into the first one. So here's a picture from my webcam, and the question is, where is the hidden camera in this photo? Take a guess, and I'll show you some footage to give you a better sense of where it is. So on the left in this footage we have my webcam. On the right we have footage from the hidden camera. And as you see, as I move my finger up to the bridge of my nose, the hidden camera is completely concealed. And so it sort of demonstrates that the hidden camera is in the bridge of the glasses. So these were purchased from Amazon, and I'm actually wearing them right now. They are about $50, and they work pretty well. So let me show you some footage taken with these glasses. So here I am taking some practice SAT questions on Khan Academy. And as you can see, the camera is able to capture all the text, all the graphics, all the mathematical notation. So really it's sufficient for copying all of the content of the question. Alright, so let's talk about hidden camera number 2. Here's another picture. Take a guess as to where the hidden camera is in this picture. This one's pretty tough. And I'll give some more footage showing you where it is. So, on the left we've got my webcam, on the right the hidden camera. So it's a dark camera that I have taped to my chest, and so the dark camera is really quite invisible against the black t-shirt. So here's that camera on Amazon. It's about $47 with a 10% off coupon. Let me sort of highlight kind of the different components of the camera. So this on the left here is the full device, and the tip right here is the camera, and this is kind of a zoom in on that camera tip. And it's pretty nice. It broadcasts a Wi-Fi signal to send real-time images to a smartphone app. So you can see what it's recording. And here's footage, again, doing practice questions on Khan Academy. It's slightly lower quality than the glasses. On the glasses, I was zoomed in about 150%. Both of these were done on a 13-inch laptop. This camera I zoomed in, I think, about 200%. But you can capture all the text, all the images, all the mathematical notation. So it's sufficient for stealing test content. And talk about a third hidden camera. So this one was kind of a failed attempt. So it's cheaper than the other two. It's $40 with a 5% off coupon. So the glasses are intuitive. You know, to aim at something, you just look at the target. The second camera is reasonably easy to aim. You basically look at the smartphone app and get real-time feedback, and you can see where the camera's looking. This camera is impossible to aim. You take a picture, take the SD card out, put the SD card in your computer, look at the picture, re-aim. The feedback loop is way too long, and it's not worth trying. So stay away from these. Here's kind of a side note on artificial intelligence. So you imagine if someone steals content using a video camera, they're probably going to want to process the text in that video. So what I did was I took one frame from the glasses camera and fed it into Google's Vision API, and overall the results were extremely good. Recreated the text quite well. All the text is correct. Sort of the quibbles with it are the equation that it captured. So on the left, here's the frame. The green boxes are all the text that the API recognized. The equation is here, and it's not quite right here. This is what came out of the API. So, you know, there are going to be like slight mistakes coming out of AI. There's some text around the page that's recognized that isn't part of the question. And it would be kind of difficult to handle questions that span multiple frames. But overall, this would be a feasible way to extract text from video content. So I'll turn it over to Chris to talk a bit about brain dump sites.
Hello, and I just briefly wanted to touch on brain dump sites. Lots of people here probably know and understand what they are, but I'm just going to briefly talk about them in the context of webcams and hidden cameras. Hidden cameras can obviously capture test content, and there is a market for selling the test content. These are generally brain dump sites. They're websites that actively steal live test questions for resale. Typically, you can approach them and sell the questions yourself. And they'll go as far as to hire subject matter experts to correctly score the exam items for their clients, just to make sure their clients get the actual correct scores. I've spoken with subject matter experts that we've hired to do item evaluations who have also previously been hired by brain dump sites to score the test items. And then it's essentially just the potential examinees can purchase complete live exams for a really low cost, and this calls into question the validity of any given exam. Here, for example, is an advertisement for one of these sites. They advertise actual tests. You can pass it any exam at any time because we'll give you the actual questions to pass it. They say their answer has been verified by security professional or by IT professionals, and you just get instant access to 1,200 exams from this site. Other brain dump sites say 3,500 exams, and they offer different payment plans to get there. But essentially, test content is up for grabs. Here is a list of example companies that come off one of these sites. Companies like Apple, Juniper, Amazon, and wait, there's more. Essentially, Semantic, ETS, and many more for simple monthly payments of $19.99. But joking aside, most IT tests can be found through a brain dump site. So as I previously stated, they claim they're real questions. They also claim their questions are up to date, so updated within 1 week of exam changes. Many different certifications, and it's typically just $20 or so to get access to a test, which is a really low cost for jeopardizing an entire testing program.
So this slide is probably preaching to the choir a bit, just to say that high-stakes exams, essentially high-stakes leads to an incentive to steal, or implies there's an incentive to steal. And so I've sort of collected a few examples in the press of theft and cheating. So in K through 12, we've got a Washington Post article describing Atlanta cheating. New York Times has sort of an overview article, a bunch about a lot of cheating in K through 12. In higher ed, the Washington Post covered security breach where hundreds of SAT questions were stolen. And then, you know, the NBC News coverage of the Varsity Blues scandal. We've got former SAT, ACT test administrator pleading guilty in that scandal. Then at the certification and licensure level, we've got an FBI report of Optima University owners stealing test questions from U.S. medical licensing exam, and Network World's reporting on Microsoft's initiatives to crack down on certification exam cheating. So the main point is that, you know, high stakes, there's reason to steal it. So what are the solutions? So there are sort of two main approaches. In sort of the prevention realm, the main idea is let's reveal a small fraction of the test content to each test taker. And there are a bunch of different methods to do that. Some of them include using multiple test forms, computer adaptive tests, linear on-the-fly testing, automatic item generation, smart items, discrete option, multiple choice. And so I think that's sort of the pinnacle of how to either prevent the effect of theft or reduce it dramatically. Then on the detection side, you can use watermarking to identify who has stolen the test content. It's useful for lawsuits, and also in terms of if you publicize that the exams are watermarked, it will deter people from trying to steal the content as well. So to summarize, hidden cameras are a security threat. It's going to be really hard, especially for online proctors, also for in-person proctors, to find hidden cameras. And high-stakes test questions are valuable, and bad actors can profit by selling stolen test content, for instance, on brain dump sites. So instead of relying on proctors, we would suggest that you design tests that will be unaffected by theft or less affected by theft. So thank you. Thanks for listening, and get in touch if you have any questions or comments. Chris's email is chrisfoster@cavion.com, and my email is andrewmartyr@cavion.com. So, thank you.